Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yours.
Inside here, you get an insight and you know something, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through! Just gonna solidify everything for Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKT, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Inu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Anvil immediately goes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2-3, so back and forth. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to CGL, where we are going to the EU Console Open Tier for this quarterfinals matchups. It's AFMT taking on Smelvin Industries, and we have a good one on our hands here, Megalas.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're at home getting a sense of deja vu, don't worry, it's not just you. These teams actually faced off rather recently, as recent as last week in our EU PC Open, because they're just that good. They play in both brackets as console teams. And AFMT managed to take a very decisive victory there. But I mean, looking towards the bracket here on the console side of things, you know, as you said, Dex, we're in the quarterfinals, maybe with a little more stakes, a little more skin in the game, will be the motivator that Smelvin Industry needs to sort of take one of these series their own way this time.
Yeah, absolutely. But you see in the first round here, both these teams just had no problems at all sweeping themselves to get into these quarterfinals here. But you bring up a good point here. They're both in the console and the PC open tiers here in EU, and both really good teams. But we have to focus here on the console side of it. AFMT, honestly, when you look at it, might be the scariest team in all of EU console. They played Smelvin Industries week 1. That went to a 5-map series, and Megalas, ever since then, this team has not dropped a single map.
Yeah, not just to, Smelvin Industries, to anybody. They really have just been this dominant force. As per usual, right, ever since they've walked into CGL, they've really come in and let everybody know just how good they are, especially even if you think back to our mid-season tournament. They were able to take that one without dropping a map. So it really is just this confidence that this roster exudes. And, it's a tall task for anybody to try to, at least make them appear mortal.
Yeah, Absolutely, but why don't we introduce you guys to this immortal team at the moment of AFMT, NRG, and hey, I'm Zero on your DPS line, Dinks, your tank, and then that back line is Ricky and Jot. I mean, Megalast, this is just such an incredibly talented lineup here.
Yeah, I mean, NRG, 100%, this is a name you should know if you've been around the CGL scene. It just constantly is called out game after game, and having a star DPS like that, surrounded by amazing players, it just truly lends itself to a great system that AFMT has going. But their opposition on the other side, of course, being no slouches, Smelvin Industries, you got Adam and Maury on the DPS line, Arda on that tank, and then Robbie and Seb are going to be on the supports right now. And there's a little bit of flexing going on this roster right now. A little too many doom fists that you may be seeing, but don't worry, these players are flexible. They definitely can play whatever is required of them, but yeah, it is going to be a very interesting game to sort of try to see if Smelvin can stand up to AFMT once more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this one here. I think I've been able to cast both these teams in the past, so a lot of good names. Arda is the one I'm really looking at here for Smelvin. I believe they were just able to pop off so much in the last game I saw for them here. But, I mean, hey, we introduced you to the teams. Why don't we show you where we're going to be heading for our first map of this quarterfinals series? We're going to be heading to the control map here of Nepal.
Yeah, with our postseason, map pool being decided and Lijiang Tower not being an option, a lot of teams have sort of migrated over to Nepal as that must pick, the comfort pick, if you will. And I can see why, right? Each of the points, very familiar to people who've been playing Overwatch a long time, as well as, there's nothing that you can really throw a wrench into the plans. You know what's going to be run on each of the points, even if you're trying to get a little bit creative, right? That's still refined creativity, right? There might be some boop things happening on the Sanctum. There might be some May play in the Village. But for our first round here, we can see it. You can't. We're going to be starting off on the Shrine. And, I mean, Shrine's always an interesting one, Dex, just because of the way, there's a little bit of high ground for both teams to try to take advantage of and things of that nature. It really lends itself to being a little bit creative.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, we're about a week now into season 10 here. I feel like we've kind of started to figure out what the kind of meta is, and really the meta hasn't necessarily changed from what we saw towards the end of season 9. I mean, Orisa is still very popular. Same thing with the Tracer, the Soldier, and even, I mean, the supports is the most interesting point right now. I feel like you're starting to see you're going away from what you had there with that Lucio and Kiriko. Yeah, they're still there, but you're starting to see more people kind of, maybe migrate towards a little bit of a BAP and a Moira.
Yeah, and I mean, it comes down to what you value more, right? That Kiriko cleanse is crucial, but say the other team isn't playing any, devastating hinder effects, then you necessarily don't value the cleanse as much as something like an immortality field. That being said, though, both teams are going to be opting into the Kiriko Lucio at the start here, as well as a Cassidy for both sides instead of a Sojourn. So, you're not worried about those range kills with the railgun. Instead, it's going to be that mid-range poke damage happening here. And a call for a pause here coming out from Jot, just sort of waiting for it to occur.
Doesn't look like it's gonna necessarily happen just yet, even though okay, now it finally happens right there. But we can see that both the teams, I mean, coming out with the exact same comp here, so our mirror match. And in my opinion, that really comes down to, yeah, you're always gonna talk about the tanks taking space, but I feel like it comes down to those two DPS players on each side, just trying to find an early opening pick. Because normally, once that happens, that other team is eventually just able to start pushing a little bit further into the other team's enemy lines.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things where as much as everybody wants to complain about the Orisa, right, it comes down to being able to create that space and, give your DPS room to operate, Tracer obviously needing it and stuff like that. Quick little tech issue. Apparently Venture was not enabled. Whoopsies, teehee on that one. And, of course you got to get the new hero in the mix. I find it interesting that both of these teams pointed out that we didn't have Venture, but they definitely were not like, guys, we're going to run out on Venture. So I wonder if that will be a swap up or if we're going to stick with what we saw with the Orisa, the Cassidys, the Tracers, the whole shebang.
I mean, I think we're going to see exactly what we saw, but bringing up Venture is a really good thing here. I mean, I feel like not necessarily a lot of people know if they fit into a meta just yet. There's a lot of people are saying that Venture is incredibly strong at the moment, so maybe we'll see them if teams want to play them. But it really just comes down to what the teams are comfortable with. Throwing in that Venture might be something where it's a little shaky.
Yeah, Venture phenomenal in that sort of mid-range exactly. A little bit shorter range than a Cassidy, but you don't necessarily have to be in the enemy's face like a Tracer, right? It's that perfect in-between of those two heroes specifically that allows Venture to thrive, as well as their ability to sort of displace the opponents and things of that nature, especially, being able to just hit people with the clobber and just constantly applying damage effects over and over. It really can throw people for a loop. It can cause resources to be burned when you necessarily don't want them burned yet. So it would be interesting to see if either teams opt into having Venture in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting the series restarted right now, map restarted as well. Looks like, though, we're going to be swapping what our first point is going to be here. I think now we are going to, I want to say this is Temple,
I think this is Sanctum, if I'm not mistaken. It's just, it's weird because we have the aerial view, so we can't see anything. It's basically, like, we can see the inside of the point, technically. You see the aerial view that we get, so it is hard to identify it as Sanctum, because you don't see that looming pit that everybody will always be afraid of and things like that. But, yeah, it looks like we're actually seeing both teams make some swap-ups here. Mori on the Sojourn. Adam is simply teleporting everybody out before going over to that Tracer. Meanwhile, AFMT, they're going to opt into running the Ramatra, which means the Mei has to be in tow to help, as well as that Venture. NRG wants to, walk this one out, give it a test drive, and see how much it can do against the quote-unquote meta composition.
Yeah, and look at what Smelvin's doing right now. They're kind of split up away from each other now. Are starting to rotate back to the rest of their team right now as AFMT kind of just rotating through the entirety of the map at the moment. But Smelvin doing a good job just making sure that pressure from Dinks is not necessarily going to be there. But now you see NRG dive in. Ricky will be able to find Mori as Adam tries to go to point. Adam, though, will find Zero. Now is in a 1v1 here with Jot. Just trying to do whatever they can. Smelvin will cap point here, even with the fight going on. NRG, though, backline, gonna be able to find 7 now. AFMT starting to just pick up the kills they need. Dinks, though, looking worse for wear, and they look terrible. They're dead. Jot, though, will trade it out onto Adam, and eventually Robbie Hash will fall. 13%, though, for Smelvin in that first fight.
Yeah, they got stuck in a small room with a Ramatra, and those Fist of Fury started flying, and Morty just could not exist long enough on the Sojourn. Now over to the Cassidy, realizing that range isn't necessarily needed. More of that, that mid-range damage is going to be valued here. As we're seeing AFMT, they're holding this, slight high ground, just absolutely where you want to play. You get somebody to point if you need to, but this next fight could be decided with a very fast coalescence from Ricky.
Jot, they're going to be able to find Robbie before anything happens there. Smelvin, especially Mori, already looking like they're trying to back out this one without their Lucio, but you're seeing the rest of AFMT just charge in, and Dink's going to pop that Annihilation. Already 2, 3, 4 members down. It's going to be a team kill here for AFMT.
Yeah, secure that fight. I mean, you knew that they didn't have the Lucio. They had no way to speed disengage, so it gave AFMT all of the tempo control in the world, only expending that Ramatra ultimate. But now Smelvin Industries coming in with some ultimates of their own. It's going to be a pretty heavy ult fight back and forth.
Pulse Bomb coming out from Zero, not going to be able to find anyone and everything going Smelvin Industries' way. The DPS line down now for AFMT, and it looks like they're just going to give up the point and try to get themselves out of this sticky situation.
Yeah, and Smelvin Industries, they're able to take that off the back of, no ultimates being expended, as well as they're going more.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an unfortunate kill there for AFMT. You lose Dinks, and now you're going to lose even more. One ultimate being invested here for Smelvin, and you're just finding them coming out of spawn.
Yeah, and, that's a great victory for Smelvin, getting more and more point percentage at the cost of just your Kitsune Rush. That they expended Pulse Bomb in that last fight, so you're going to have a pretty even ult economy regardless here now. Heading into the next one, Adam lurking with the Pulse Bomb is going to be, absolutely crazy here.
Trying to do the 1v1 here with Zero, but Mori will be able to find Jot again. They have not even got a beat yet so far, but here comes the Tectonic Shocks out from NRG. Not going to be able to find anyone. Terror Surge from Arda with the beat from Robbie. Going to be able to pump in some damage, but not find any kills just yet. NRG in a bad spot right there. Robbie will find them as the beat comes out from Jot just a little bit too late. But this disjointed fight here. Smelvin will eventually end up taking the lead. AFMT looking like they're kind of lost here at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is the Ramatra needs that Mei in tow in order to be able to actually focus somebody down and get the advantage on them, you know, especially when that target you're going after is an Orisa from Arda. Ever since AM0 went over to the Tracer, sure, it's enabled you to sort of take those duels against Adam a little more effectively, but it really has left the Dinks on an island all their own, but that island is about to have annihilation, and this could be the thing that turns the tide back in AFMT's favor.
Smelvin, though, holding on to two very powerful ultimates with Zero. Going to make sure there's no pulse bomb ready for this fight here. AFMT will at least get this round into overtime right now. Mori getting very low. Going to have to take the health pack and fall back. AFMT, though, I mean, they could cap the point here if they wanted. They're playing it very slow at the moment. Zero gonna get hindered right here. Dinks falls as well without using that annihilation energy. They're gonna keep the fight alive here for AFMT. Finding one right there. Pulse bomb from Adam. Not gonna be able to find anyone as AFMT just desperately looking for the point swap. They're gonna be able to get it here, but the fight not yet over as Zero makes a swap to a Widowmaker.
Yeah, and this is sort of running out of spawn. You're expecting to make the hero plays, and what's amazing is AFMT flipped that without using Dinks' Annihilation, so that's going to be a tool they have for this next fight here to be able to charge down Arda once again, potentially.
The Kitsune Rush comes out from Seb, but they immediately lose their life. Here comes the Annihilation. 2 members of Smelvin immediately taken out right there. And now Smelvin looking worse for wear, losing that fight right there. Mori's going to be staggered out here. This is the worst case scenario.
It is the worst case scenario, and I don't think anybody's going to be there from Smelvin to get this final touch, which means round 1 goes to AFMT. You know, Smelvin Industries, they sat in the driver's seat for the majority of that round, but they couldn't close it out. You know, they had a fight opportunity in their favor, but they just felt a little bit scared, a little bit trepidatious to try to make those commitments. And, you know, you can't have that fear because AFMT, you know, they'll gladly push those fights that they have no right in winning, and they'll find a way to win them anyway. But good showing from Smelvin on round 1 there. And now that we're actually heading to the Shrine for real, I am expecting us to both roll out on the Orisa. I'm sure Dinks was not having the best of times despite lighting up the kill feed on the Ramatra. And we have a bit of a difference here again. Mori's going to come out on the Sojourn, where Zero is sticking to the Cassidy. The Symmetra's just going to TP everybody out before going over to Tracer, I'm assuming, for both squads.
And honestly, there was a moment there I thought Energy might come back out on the Venture. I mean, they looked okay with it on that first point, but I think that making the swap over to the Cassidy for them towards the end of that point really did help them out a lot, help their team out. I mean, they won, not because of it, but just because of how much pressure they were able to put on there. But you already see Arda here just trying to take control of the point, just build the space. Now they're getting a little bit aggressive here, nosing Dinks, Ricky, Jot, all low. Mori going to be able to take care of Jot with a bullet to the head right there. Smelvin, though, will immediately lose one member there, so both Lucio's down and out at the moment. Zero, though, finds Adam, but immediately gets traded out right here. Arda, though, just trying to find Dinks, now has to fortify to keep themselves alive, but eventually Smelvin will be able to cap the point. But is it going to be something like last point where Smelvin took the point first, but then AFMT came back and won it almost immediately back?
It could be. It depends on if this character is able to live right now. Ricky has to do everything in their power.
Dinks, though, gonna fall right here, and now these two supports looking like they're in a bad spot. They're just trying to run away. Jot not gonna be able to, but now how about these players? Will they be able to run away from the pressure of Smelvin?
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to pin down a Kiriko and Ricky able to live with their life. But yeah, I mean, they forced so many cooldowns out of Dinks that Orisa simply had to turn tide and give up so much space that allowed Arda to get aggressive, as you saw for that first fight. So now heading into the next one, you're expecting Arda to probably do the same exact thing. They're looking to force cooldowns from Dinks.
Kitsune Rush coming out from both sides right here. Both teams want to play a little bit aggressive here, but play safe. You see both Orisas just trying to take space and fall back, but here comes the Terror Surge out from R. Terror Surge out from Dinks as well. Dinks will fall here. The beat from Robbie Hatch going to keep everyone alive here for Smelvin, guaranteeing them another fight win here as everyone from AFMT just trying to turn tail and run.
Yeah, but they're turning tail and running for good reason, right? Smelvin just threw everything in the kitchen sink into that fight. That was both your support ultimates, your Pulse Bomb, your Terror Surge, all of it gone. Meanwhile, AFMT, they only invested the Terror Surge and the Kitsune Rush, so now they'll have their own sound barrier. They could use it aggressively, they could hold it to counter an ultimate, as well as both of their DPS ultimates in tow. I mean, NRG should be able to get a nice stick here to start this fight out.
And I'm watching for Hey I'm Zero to maybe find something with the Deadeye. I've seen Deadeye on this map get strange amount of value here right now, but you see them just trying to take the space. Pulse Bomb going to come out there from NRG, not find anyone. Instead, it's going to be NRG who ends up falling there by the hands of Mori. The beat coming out here from Judge just keep everyone alive. Now that Deadeye coming out here, Hey, I'm Zero going to be able to find one. It's a good pick onto Seb. Now they hinder Arda there for a moment, will lead to their death, but it looks like AFMT just cleaning up the stragglers will be able to finally cap the point.
It was so crucial that it was Seb taken outright. That major source of healing was what had to be cut for Smelvin Industries for AFMT to have any chance of getting into that fight, and it went, surprisingly well for them. So now AFMT, they have control of the point. They're going to have to fight it all the way to 100% without dropping a fight here. Going to be obviously super difficult, but when you have things like the Kitsune Rush here from Ricky that can help you build towards your other ultimates, it could create a good snowball effect, but that's not what you want to see.
And I was going to say, what is NRG doing? They were just kind of standing in a spot where maybe you're not supposed to be able to stand, and they immediately comes back to bite them here. Yeah, you find Mori, but you'll also lose your tank. Smelvin has a huge advantage at the moment. The point back in their control. They're getting the kills. The Terror Surge coming out will just seal the deal, and we're going to be heading to Village now.
Yeah, and going to Village to decide it all, and this is a much better look for AFMT. This is what, or Smelvin Industries, I should say. This is exactly what I kind of want from them, right? They're forcing the cooldowns, their game, right? They have to manage every single resource in order to stay in this one. They're not going to just fall by the wayside and make simple mistakes. Because truly, even the fight Smelvin lost, it really wasn't necessarily forced mistakes. It was just good play from AFMT to find, great picks.
Yeah, and I mean, Smelvin now winning this point right here makes it probably the closest that AFMT has come to losing a map in a long time, and they have the momentum on their side here. And really, no big shocks coming out here. Mori going back over to the Soldierin, looking like they're just going to try to play the high ground around point. I do like this from them, especially because Smelvin has kind of just taken over this high ground, and Mori already able to land those right clicks. Arda and Dinks looking worse for wear here, but Dinks going to be the one going back to the spawn, and it looks like for the third map here, or third point in a row, Smelvin will be capping it first.
And, you can see it every single fight, right? Mori on the Sojourn, absolutely massive getting those picks, right? But just this frontline war, Dinks is forcing Fortify in, the spear spin so often in situations where you might not even necessarily need it. It's sort of just to provide a little bit of resistance for a moment. And Smelvin is so meticulous in waiting it out and then taking their advantage once those cooldowns are down. The Orisa cannot live forever, forever and always without him.
Yeah, and again, just like AFMT is trying to just, engage onto this high ground right here, but they're really struggling, and Arda finding NRG early. That's not what you want to see if you're AFMT, and look at what it does to them. But now Dinks kind of sectioned off away from the rest of their team. Yeah, they have Ricky right by them, and then Jot coming back over as well to try to keep them supported, but they're just falling back and just starting to let this percentage lead grow for Smelvin.
Yeah, I mean, you have to fall back. There really is no other recourse here. So now Smelvin Industries is going to be the first one closing in on some ultimates as AFMT. They decide to rotate through main, but it is going to be difficult with this Sojourn just raining damage from above.
Again, you're seeing the Orisas go at each other right now. The 4-5 coming out from Dinks, but it's going to be NRG falling here first yet again. 2 fights in a row now. The Pulse Bomb, though, going to come out from Zero and Adam right there, but Zero going to be able to find 2. Arda, though, gets rid of Dinks in the battle of the Orisas here. The Terror Surge going to be able to find Jot, and the ultimates invested for AFMT all come to naught here as they're going to lose yet another team fight.
Yeah, I mean, unless Ham Zero can pull some heroics out of nowhere, it seems like this fight is going to go the way of Smelvin Industries. And, they didn't invest a whole heck of a lot, right? It was just that Terra Surge combined with the Pulse Bomb early on, whereas Ricky investing that Kitsune Rush means that they're not going to have it, so Seb will have free reign to just throw it out and help the team however they need.
Kitsune Rush coming out here from Seb. Here comes the overclock from Mori. Zero just trying to annoy that backline, but the beat coming out from both sides to keep them supported through Zero, though. Not going to be able to get caught in that as they lose Jot right there. And now AFMT, this is the worst thing that could happen. You lose your Lucio, now you're going to lose your Cassidy as well. Smelvin Industries is looking like they're putting them on notice at the moment. All they have to do is just clean up this fight, and they'll hand AFMT their first loss in the console tier in almost 2 months.
The first map, the blood has been drawn. AFMT, while they still, are a god squad, they've been proven mortal. Smelvin Industries has shown what they showed the first time they met this season, that they can strike blows, but I have an odd feeling this is just a drop in the bucket compared to how far this series is going to go, because AFMT is not the type of team to roll over and die, but good on Smelvin. They show that they can play this meta comp incredibly well, and I'm excited to see exactly how this match is going to continue.
Yeah, and I mean, even coming out of the gate here on our first point, AFMT won that one, but I mean, there were a couple questionable picks, a couple questionable comps. We talked about it a little bit there. They played without the Mei into this Ramatra comp. It ended up still working out for them in the end, but once they went over to this kind of meta comp at the moment, it seems like Smelvin was just always able to one-up them when they try to do anything.
Yeah, that was the thing, right? Like, you sort of chalk up round one as they were on off meta, right? AFMT, like, the idea is they're locking in, they're focusing up when they go over for rounds 2 and 3 to this more meta composition, and it still wasn't enough, right? Smelvin Industries was able to, you know, take fights to them in pretty effective ways, even winning fights that, you know, for example, that fight there, right? How many people from AFMT were alive? They took Smelvin Industries down to just the Orisa and Sojourn, but, you know, the Orisa and Sojourn was all you needed there. So yeah, AFMT for the first time in a long time find themselves on the back foot.
Yeah, and I mean, you even talked about a little bit coming into the series. If there's probably one team that would do it this early on in the playoffs, it would probably be the Smelvin Industry team here. I mean, they've taken them to 5 in the past, but then they met again 4 weeks later in the midseason tournament where AFMT kind of just walked over them there. It was another 3-0 sweep for them in that long line of consecutive map wins that just came to an end. Say, you know, they're locking in maybe a little bit slower than what they thought there. They lose that first. Absolutely. I mean, considering this is their 4th time they've played all season, they know how to maybe make this team a little bit annoyed here. And I really do think, you know, Smelvin got a huge help with AFMT running that kind of off meta there for a little bit, because it gave them, even though AFMT did win that point, it gave Smelvin a little bit of time to just kind of get used to this meta right now, that comp they were running, and running into this AFMT team. And when you saw them become a mirror match, it was essentially Smelvin looked like a lot more comfortable on it, while AFMT looked like they were still trying to just, you know, pick up the pace a little bit and get up to speed.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of depends on where they want to go with their meta, right? Whether it's the Cassidy, whether it's the Sojourn, and being able to flip between them, as we saw for Smelvin, is a great tool. But speaking of places to go, we do have our next map lock and loaded from AFMT. It is going to be Hollywood. It's a map I haven't seen picked all too often in these playoffs so far, so I'm interested to see AFMT's sort of decision-making as to why to go to Hollywood. Potentially they want to bring out some sort of different composition, play the high grounds a little more effectively. You know, D.Va has a phenomenal home here on Hollywood, and it wouldn't surprise me to see maybe just a bit of a comp switch up in that favor.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me either. Hollywood is really known for a little bit of a dive, especially on the first 2 points, and then probably something back to what we were seeing on the first map there in Nepal for that 3rd one. And it just really comes down to what AFMT wants to try to play here. They will be defending first, so Smelvin going to be the first team to show us, you know, necessarily what they're going to come out with here. Will it be the dive? Will it be back to that Orisa? Like, that wouldn't surprise me to see the Orisa, but I mean, it takes away a lot of options on this first point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it really just comes down to, this is going to be AFMT probably on something they're comfortable on, which, regardless if it's the Orisa or the dive, right? And it comes down to Smelvin Industries, how they choose to respond. Whether they choose to match it, whether they choose to stick with the Orisa meta that they've been so good at so far, you know, whatever it may be. You can't necessarily force cooldowns from Dink, you know, because if Dink's not on the Orisa to force that gold, as we're seeing AFMT here on the defense, going to be on the Sigma, with the Baptiste Zen that you normally see accompanying Sigma, just because it's a bit more of a poke composition energy over the Sojourn. And of course, Zero is going to be looking for some cheeky angles on this Widowmaker to sort of catch people off guard. But honestly, if Smelvin Industries plays fast and does their rotations of Hollywood properly, I mean, they could definitely get onto AFMT before any potential picks come through.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like this AFMT kind of comp right now kind of all is hindered on how good Zero is with landing those headshots. I mean, Smelvin's going to try to play a little bit fast here with this Orisa, but if you can take care of Robbie or Seb early on, you're going to have to force Smelvin to fall back here.
Yeah, and that's going to be the case, right? And you're seeing actually the run back to spawn here, so there's going to be at least a swap of the tanks for Smelvin Industries. They've decided they don't want to attempt to have anybody cross. They realize heads are going to get ripped off here. So it really comes down to, yep, we're going over to the D.Va, no other swaps being made, but that defense matrix is going to be crucial in getting everybody across to the safety of this other high ground. And now you're seeing Mori on a flank.
Yeah, more just kind of biding their time here. They have Robbie with them as well, so if they feel like they're in a sticky situation, they can speed themselves out here. But now, because of this diva, I mean, AFMT has to just be wary of that dive to that high ground as you see that already coming out there. Zero gonna be the first one to fall, and like I said, this whole comp kind of revolves around them. If they're able to find picks, if they're not gonna be able to, it's gonna hurt them. And now you're down 3 members. It's about to be 4, and 5 probably not far away.
I mean, Arda played that beautifully, right? Forcing the point until the Sigma had to drop to the contestant, and then when you realize there'd be no tank in your face on that high ground, flying up, immediately getting in the face of the Sojourn, the Widowmaker, and the entire backline was just free for a diva with all of that HP still to their name. And I mean, that's a fast cap for Smelvin on this point A, and it forces the AFMT to make some swaps of their own already.
Yeah, fast cap considering that Smelvin basically gave up about 45 to 50 seconds to make the swap over here to the diva, but a one-fight team win and point cap is something you will always take every day of the week. And now Arda just on that back line there, just gonna try to harass them for a little bit as Smelvin just gonna freely push his card.
Yeah, they've got to be not afraid to peek here, but you're seeing again this diva is just kind of in exactly where they need to be, but Zero wants this pick badly. This Widow has to find value for the defense.
And you're going to see Dinks get demeched right here. Already kind of a rough start for AFMT at the moment. Zero just still looking for anyone for their teammates. They're falling around them right now. The bomb coming out on the high ground. And Zero just going to accept death with open arms.
There has to be a swap coming through here. I'm expecting over to the Tracer or something of that nature here. But Dinks over onto the Wrecking Ball instead of wanting that Diva mirror, potentially accepting that Arda is just a little bit better here. Meanwhile, AFMT, they're choosing to stick with this Baptiste Zen, which is super vulnerable to being dived. And now we're already seeing the Kitsune rush investment.
And Zero not even allowed to play the game anymore at the moment, kicking out early. Here comes the overclock from Mori, looking for anyone they can. They already capped point 2, and now they're looking for more. There's one, there's another one. Can they find a third? No, Arda will take that away from them right there. But 5 minutes on the time bank Mega Last here. I mean, Smelvin is putting on a clinic at the moment.
Yeah, I almost feel like I need to clean my glasses, double check what I'm seeing here. I mean, AFMT, they just... you know, the first map, it kind of didn't go their way. They were still playing meta. They were still getting some good fights. They just look lost. They're just clicking heroes right now, trying to find some sort of value to stop the advancement of Smelvin Industries, and it's not working out too crucially in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, something needs to happen here. They need to win a team fight just to build up a little bit. That disrupting shot from NRG, I mean, so far you could just say that's how their entire series is going at the moment. Arda, Adam picking up 4. Can they find the 5th one? It's going to be Mori finding it there. And honestly, does AFMT even get back out to contest?
They have a Wrecking Ball. Surely the Wrecking Ball can get onto the cart and provide some sort of stall potential here, combining it with a Transcendence. But the boop! That's ludicrous.
Just, this Smelvin team came here today to absolutely play. AFMT, I mean, we came into it talking about undefeated, this long map streak. Even they never dropped the map in the mid-season tournament. And Smelvin, I mean, you even talked about it a lot already. AFMT beat Smelvin in the PC Open Tier playoffs
last week.
There. Yeah, last week in a sweep. Like, this has to be a complete shock to this team at the moment, and they're trying to figure out what happened to the Smelvin team.
I mean, Smelvin, they're on another level. Everybody is firing exactly where they need to. Arda is creating so much space regardless of the tank they are on, forcing AFMT into uncomfortable positions time and again, and it's allowing Mori and Adam to really flourish, you know, whether it's, you know, fancy little picks with the Sojourn Rail or pulse bombs or even just clips, you know, raw damage coming through. As well as, you know, let's highlight the supports while we're at it. Robbie, Hash, and Seb, you're not really seeing them out of position. They're putting in the heals. Their abilities are well timed to keep everybody alive. AFMT, they are being sent reeling, but they've got to find some sort of stabilization here. And potentially this could be the swap up needed, right? They're going to have the Baptiste instead of the Kiriko, not valuing that cleanse as they don't feel it's necessary. And again, they're going to be on over to that Cassidy, but it's just going to be a very interesting to try to assault this high ground against the Sojourn.
Absolutely, and one thing you have to remember is AFMT picked this map. Smelvin Industries walked through I that entirety round there and have a 4-minute time bank. I'm gonna be honest, I've never seen a 4-minute time bank to complete Hollywood here. And AFMT, I mean, they're trying to just get the high ground right now, but they know the dive is gonna come out there.
Yeah, and it's all about kind of getting onto this high ground, but now what do you do once you're here, right? You're just getting shot at constantly. You don't have any sort of shield. It just forces cooldowns from Dinks to try to stay up here any longer, and it seems like they're just going to go down the staircase and try to force pressure on point.
Suzu invested early there by Seb. They will find Adam, and they're going to be able to... Oh, I thought they were... Nope, they're eventually going to be able to find Robbie Hash as well, and now they're just kind of walking through the rest of their team. Arda will find one, but so far, I mean, Smelvin playing this kind of slow was working out for them, but they still have to deal with Arda.
Yeah, but, I mean, there's only so much a diva without a mech can do, and Arda already being removed from the mech. Good rotation from AFMT going up. You know, they took this space as well as they caught Seb, you know, for the first time in the series, out of position. They got onto that Kiriko, forced the abilities, and so now with this payload moving in AFMT's favor, it is going to be interesting to see how they have to assault point B with not really having any good high ground access, but Smelvin in and of themselves are giving it up as well, with Arda going off the Diva over to the Orisa once more.
Yeah, they just realized it wasn't working out right now. Arda, though, going straight to point like it seems because they already fell off the high ground. Immortality Field going to be invested, but I mean, AFMT now, I mean, they're looking like a much better team compared to what we saw in that first round. Finding an early pick, about to make it 2, maybe even 3 as they find Mori out. The Terror Surge not going to be able to find Arda somehow. All that eventually Dings will fall, but AFMT continues to find the picks and continues to push the cart.
And this payload moving, I mean, Smelvin Industries now being the ones that sort of had to figure out some stabilization, right? Seb is being found time and again on this Kiriko, and oh my gosh, Adam is being headhunted by Zero right now. This Cassidy is not removing themselves until this Tracer is out of the fight.
And Adam, I mean, eventually going to fall there, but they did a good job of at least distracting Zero Mori. Gonna try to get something here with this overclock. Not gonna be able to do a lot with that beat, and now the amp matrix coming out from Ricky as well. The beat has gone away, but they still have to deal with the amp matrix as they pop their head out. However, you do see Arda just controlling the point at the moment, or stalling the point. Now the consumer is coming out here from Seb just to try to get anything going, and yeah, that's gonna get them going here a little bit. 2 straight kills here for Smelvin Industries, but oh, Seb able to keep themselves alive there somehow, but it looks like eventually AFMT is gonna have to fall back here a little bit.
Yeah, AFMT, they lost too many members. They couldn't stifle the bleeding. And, you know, that's a phenomenal fight from Smelvin Industries, right? You forced out, you know, so many ultimates, including that crucial sound barrier, which was countering Mori's railgun, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough. And now you're seeing even more cleanup picks come through that Baptiste and Cassidy not long for this timeline. And so now Smelvin Industries, they've got a good... Oh, wait. I got so scared. I heard you saying cart, and I was like, no, surely we don't get a C9. That would be absurd to the highest degree.
I mean, they always tend to happen when I'm around.
You're just a bringer. You just have the energy about you for a C9. But this next fight, you know, it probably won't be a C9. It'll just be a clean one on the cart.
I mean, but they do have to wait for NRG to get back here a little bit. Or NRG, you do see him in that back line. Now they're just kind of waiting for them to find an opening here. They are trying to 1v1 Mori a little bit, but Mori gonna get some help here from Adam as AFMT, you know, gonna be able to just try to find anything. They eventually jump off the high ground. At least Dinks does. NRG, though, very low right there. Same thing for Dinks, as Smelvin Industries doing a good job of just, you know, making sure AFMT struggles to get anything going here. But hey, you found your opening pick there. Terror Surge coming out from both. Orisa's here on point. Arda gonna be the one that take the worst of it here. The beat from Robbie Hash comes out just a little bit too late. And I don't know if Smelvin even tries to contest this card here.
I mean, do you kind of have to at least die on cards since you invested the sound barrier, right? You have to find some sort of value from it that way. But AFMT, they do not care. And that's a, you know, beautiful fight for AFMT. You forced out, you traded your Terra Surges, you got the sound barrier out for literally nothing. So now you're heading into third point here with tons of ultimates to your name. It is just going to be the crucial factor of, can Jot build that 20% to a sound barrier before Mori starts beaming down on them with this railgun?
And I would not be surprised if Seb immediately pops that Kitsune Rush here. We've seen in the past how aggressive they've been with them. They want to try to get a little bit of control back into this round, and right now, that would be the way to do it. And that's exactly what they do. But you see what AFMT does. They drop down that AFMT, forcing Smelvin to just respect it, but Mori on that high ground, going to be able to find one, looking for a second one, not going to be able to, a zero, going to be able to find one with the headshot there. Now Jot going to use that beat just to keep this aggression alive here for AFMT. The pulse bomb stick will be able to find that Lucio, but the javelin will shut down the tracer for Smelvin. Picks going back and forth here. Eventually AFMT going to be able to take the lead.
Yeah, but I mean, their enemy is the clock right now. They have to get this capped soon, otherwise this time bank is going to get larger and larger for Smelvin Industries if they want some chance in these overtime rounds. And, oh my gosh, that prediction pulse.
And does that buy them enough time? You do see one person contest the card. Jot, though, going to be able to find Adam right there. Robbie Hashballs as well. More going to be able to find one, but that might be the only thing Smelvin gets this fight right here. Arda falls, and there's going to be no one else to come back and touch. But hey, the time bank is still in their favor here. AFMT, though, finishes the map with 146.
AFMT clearly not done yet here on Hollywood. While it wasn't as clean an execution as Smelvin had on their offense, they still get the job done with some time in the bank here to get a second assault going. And, you know, being able to play these, you know, play it out again, potentially fix those mistakes that came around the first time is really all you need sometimes, but it's going to be difficult. I feel like it's going to come down to this potential tank matchup. Dinks has to be able to start matching Arda, regardless of hero, right? If you want to try to switch it up, play some different things like the Sigma, I don't think the hero is the issue. It's just being able to sort of control your opposition is going to be the key factor here in getting AFMT back into this map.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're going to be attacking here first, and I'm not surprised they're making no swaps. I mean, it worked for them here. They're able to beat Smelvin, but now Smelvin going to be starting off on the same thing here. I don't think we saw the Orisa for them on the defense last round on this first point.
Nope, they were on the Diva, they were contesting the high grounds, and ultimately it just was not enough or what they were seeking, so... You know, I'm interested to see how this defense goes this time around, especially because, again, another key difference in these compositions is going to be the Baptiste versus Kiriko, right? The immortality field, as well as there's just a lot more fast-paced healing that comes with the Baptiste from Ricky instead of Seb. You know, slightly less healing, more of that Suzu just being an amazing cleanse tool. It's going to be almost a nail-biter, and depending on how these rotations go, one pick could decide it all.
Yeah, and you're starting to see Mori get a little bit aggressive here. Misses that railgun shot right there. Gets another one, but Ricky will eventually fall. Mori going to be able to keep themselves up here as AFMT slowly starting to back cap here a little bit, but eventually they're going to have to get off it as Smelvin decides to turn around, knowing they're up a man here, especially being a support, but Mori falls. That's not who you want to see fall. Adam, though, will manually trade it back onto NRG, and AFMT looking like they're going to have to fall back and regroup here quickly.
Regroup, try to get back before that Sojourn is in the fight. It's going to be close, but this aggression from the defense is what Smelvin Industries is thriving off of right now. Arda is being able to close these distance, force the cooldowns from everybody on the side of AFMT. It really is just that difference that an aggro tank like this can make.
Absolutely, 38 seconds to go here right now. Both teams contesting, but Mori gonna be able to find the opener here onto Jot. Zero falls as well, and if you're AFMT again here, just die or get out of this fight as fast as you can. You do not want to be staggered.
But so you're seeing Ricky and NRG both attempt to live back here, and sure, the Tracer might be able to blink, but Kiriko has only so many abilities that teleport. They're now up on the high ground. This is actually going to give AFMT a chance to get some good space going here, as you're seeing the rest of the team is making their way back to point for this final contest, but it's going to be hard to reunite with the team.
Ultimates coming online for both sides right now. 2 Terra Surges are a guarantee here, but Jot will not be able to build up to a beat. No Terra Surge for Dinks here. The Pulse Bomb coming out from Energy will find nothing, and Smelvin cleans it up. All they need is a tick to be on series point.
AFMT, they were split. The Kiriko, the Tracer, they couldn't get back to the squad in time before that Lucio just sort of succumb to all of the damage that was being put out by Smelvin Industries. Like, look at how aggressive, because it's not just Arda pushing up alone, right? The entire team is there. Mori comes out on the Sojourn. You see Seb there providing that cleansing Suzu for how aggressive they are getting. I mean, when the whole squad is playing like that, that synergy is on another level, and that's sort of what you need to be able to topple some of these amazing teams. Your synergy has to be on point.
Yeah, and we can talk about that. For the rest of this series, Smelvin Industries just chemistry has been great so far. AFMT, they've had spots of it, but it seems like at different spots, I mean, they probably have great chemistry as well, but just individual plays from someone like Maury, someone like Adam, are starting to really open up a lot of stuff here for Smelvin. AFMT, we really haven't seen that since that first point on Nepal, where Zero and NRG were doing so much to just find those opening picks, and they need to start doing that here again now.
Yeah, the DPS line does have to hit a bit of that wake up, and it's interesting they continue to run the Cassidy where, you know, Mori on the Sojourn is just going to outrange you time and again. Those rails are just too impactful, and sure, you value that close range damage, but unfortunately it's not going to be the answer every single time here, as you're seeing Smelvin Industries rotate up to the high ground here. And, you know, AFMT realizing that they're going to have to back up, but they can't give even a single tick. Point pressure is going to be key.
And here's the thing with Smelvin, they have this large time bank. They don't need to win it in one fight. They can take a couple fights and build up ultimates if they want, but if they find the opening they're looking for, they will sure as hell take this fight around here in one fight. But right now, Mori very low, but it's going to be Art of finding Dinks. Jot falls as well. Zero, though. We talked about hero plays coming out from someone here on AFMT. They need those hero plays to happen right now, but with NRG falling right there, you do see Ricky come down to contest point, but there's going to be no one there to stop that cap right there. Smelvin Industries, one map win away from being in the semifinals.
Not only the semifinals, what most would regard as a massive upset. AFMT, you know, 8-0 regular season here on the console side. They absolutely decimated all opponents. They won the mid-season tournament without dropping a map, and you know, to get to quarterfinals and all of a sudden find yourself stifled by Smelvin Industries, a team you've bested many times before. I mean, there has to be this feeling of loss and confusion right now. Like, guys, we've done it so many times before. What changed? What do we need to fix to try to get ourselves back into this one?
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about that. We've talked about that at great length so far already, just in this series. The fact that, as far as we know, these two teams have played each other at least 3 times, and AFMT has won them all. In those ones, and the closest one was probably the first one that happened between these two teams in week 1 of the console tier here, where it went to 5 maps and AFMT was able to come out on top. But Smelvin, it looks like they're a completely different team right now, at least according to AFMT. Everything is going right for them at the moment, and I mean, we talked about this teamwork, this cohesion, everything, this chemistry. It's all coming together right now for them, and it seems to be at the perfect time.
Yeah, and I mean, their aggression is on pace, everything is going well, and it's weird because you don't think of an Orisa composition as something that gets aggressive, right? But you're seeing what Arda can do, you know, with that tempo, getting in the face of the opposition here, but I don't know, it's definitely going to be a tough fight back for AFMT and Smelvin Industries. You know they want to close this out. They've been in this position where, you know, they've had 2 maps against AFMT. They just got to close it out this time.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, right now AFMT is begging for this break, and Smelvin Industries, they'll gladly take it as well. So everyone, stick around for map 3 of this series. You are not going to want to miss it.
Memories. Memories.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We have a little bit of a shock on our hands here. Smelvin Industries, the underdogs, coming into this series here, currently up on top 2-0 on AFMT. And we talked about coming into this one mega last year. This team, undefeated in the regular season, was on this long map win streak, and now they're on a little bit of a map losing streak.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the most maps they've lost since that week 1 match against Smelvin once again. Sure, they won that one in the end, but, I mean, you've gone the whole season undefeated. You went through the mid-season tournament undefeated. Like, you won every single game, and you probably had this confidence, this amazing feeling about you. And all of a sudden, you find yourself back against the wall in the quarterfinals. You're not even, close to the grand prize just yet. You got to be wondering to yourself, what's going wrong, and how do we course correct to try to get ourselves back on track?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we were talking just about what we've seen so far during this break right here, and we were focusing a lot on Smelvin, and especially players like Arda, Adam, and Maury, because they were just doing so much. And we even talked about Arda. They've been playing Orisa almost perfectly here. They've been aggressive, but they have been able to get themselves out of any little sticky situation. Yeah, with some help from that support line of Robbie and Seb, but Arda has just been taking space right now, which is such a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the space creation is massive, but when you have Dinks, the other tank on the, you're going up against, forcing pretty much every cooldown against you, you're able to sort of make them nervous, make them playing scared. It lets you already win the mental battle, which obviously is a big thing in Overwatch, but just, taking, all those amazing abilities that Orisa has and forcing them on just random nonsense, it puts Dinks at such a massive disadvantage that there's disengages constantly, and it doesn't allow the rest of AFMT to have the space that Smelvin currently does. And right now, I mean, that's got to be the course correction, right? I feel like Dinks has to be the one to step up and say, all right, guys, I'm no longer scared. I have to try to face down Arda, but that's proving to be a very difficult task.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked about course correction here on this third and potentially final map of this series. I mean, AFMT is going to be bringing us here to Servasa. Flashpoint, I mean, I would say it's kind of a good kind of middle ground kind of map, one where you can reset yourself. But this Smelvin team, they've been able just to take any little bit of momentum that they've had and kind of just run with it so far.
Yeah, and I feel like that's going to be the name of the game here if AFMT is going to start a reverse sweep. And it's going to come down to momentum, right? I feel like giving Smelvin even an inch here, even giving them the first point, right? While it necessarily obviously doesn't spell out the rest of the map, that sort of momentum, that mentality from Smelvin is going to become almost infectious, right? And they're going to be able to go forward with more confidence, doing more flashy plays, more crazy things. You almost have to be able to stop that in its tracks, because, the longer you give momentum, we've all seen what momentum can do, right? You roll a snowball down a hill, it's gonna keep rolling, it's gonna keep picking up speed until it is a devastating force. And currently, Smelvin Industries are on a path to be just that.
Yeah, and I mean, wait, look at what AFMT is teasing us with here. I thought energy on the May. Yep, there we go. We're seeing this come back out for them here. And remember, the only point they wanted to pull, it was running this Ramatra. Do you think this is the right move here for the Megalas?
It's difficult, right? I like the fact that the May is in tow, simply because that's what you need, but they actually switch it up last minute to go over to the Sigma here, but they're playing the rest of the composition like it's a Ramatra. It's going to give you a bit of an advantage over the Orisa, right? Sigma is not as vulnerable as Ramatra to all of Orisa's cooldowns and abilities, but it still is just going to be a very odd playstyle where you're almost like a fast poke, and they're going to be looking to section people off with these May walls here, and they just have to make sure that if they catch somebody off guard, they get this wall up properly, that they find the value and they get the pick with it.
And there's the ice wall to section Arda off, but you immediately see them break one pillar, and the supports come in to keep them alive here. But so far, AFMT going to be able to cap the point here first, or Smelvin just looking for any sort of opening.
Yeah, Smelvin really doesn't know how to approach this. They're getting poked out rather effectively here, and you're seeing Dinks now playing with that confidence we needed. So immediately, Smelvin Industries, they're trying to go on the flank, and it's forcing, you know, Kiriko Suzu to be thrown out and things of that nature. Meanwhile, Arda is just going to keep contesting this point solo.
Arda, though, eventually going to have to fall off to get healed back up here a little bit, and so far AFMT playing this point perfectly right now. No one's died just yet, and both these teams giving each other a lot of space, and we've been seeing this in the past where Smelvin's DPS have normally been able to pick someone off, but this time it's going to be the DPS for AFMT, and this is something we talked about during that break, Megalast.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you need, right? Punish these flankers. There's going to constantly be Mori and Adam going, you know, with even a Lucio speed boost in tow, because they know that they'll always be in range of a Seb teleport. And it's so odd because the tank role has been something that widely needs support at the moment, but the way Smelvin's been playing, Arda really is just a solo operator in most of these engagements here. So AFMT finally starting to punish the flank may call for a change in play style here, as the first point already just AFMTs with one single fight.
And look at this, they're going to have the advantage heading into the second point, as well as Smelvin going to have to be taking the long walk, and AFMT is going to be able to get completely set up and coming up on all 5 of their ultimates. I mean, this is exactly the start they were looking for after 2 sluggish maps, but I mean, you cannot give Smelvin any sort of momentum, but finding Arda is a perfect thing, and you force the beat out. Mori, though, does find 0 here, even with that amp matrix up, so it could still be anyone's fight right now.
Yeah, job's not done, but that tank being gone is a massive advantage for AFMT. They throw at the wall, which perfectly stops the Kitsune Rush.
Yeah, but the beat coming out here from Droid going to be able to stop that Kitsune Rush even more, as Mori and Seb going to be falling right there. Robbie and Adam doing a good job of keeping themselves up, but eventually Adam will fall, and Robbie just going to rotate all the way back to with their team.
And Smelvin Industries just expended 4 ultimates for naught. They really didn't get anything out of them. Meanwhile, AFMT just having to cycle their support ultimates. And it's just an amazing sight to see for AFMT finally feeling revitalized. This composition feels like it fits them incredibly well. Smelvin Industries now having to sort of play catch up. They're over to the Ramatra as well as the Mei in tow to, again, you know, same exact effect. They want to wall somebody off, but that Blizzard catches nobody.
And really catches no one because Adam used their own ice wall there to make sure that Arda was able to get out of it, and there's no follow-up chase down there from AFMT. But AFMT is still holding on to 2 big ultimates right now. The Flux and High Noon can be comboed to great value right now as you look for that value right now. The Flux coming out now, the Deadeye as well. Dinks not going to be able to find anyone. GST going to be booped away there by Robbie as they do a good job of keeping themselves alive here again. A lot like the first point. This is a very, very long fight. And if you're AFMT, you're absolutely begging for that here. Even if you lose it, you're going to be on 99% as Dinks does fall here. And Smelvin will be able to cap the point here. NRG though will find Robbie. Jot going to be able to find one right there before eventually falling themselves here. AFMT still weirdly in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, you would think without their tank they really can't do it, but they're doing it just one after another. The picks from AFMT are coming through. It is just Arda trying to stand tall, but unfortunately that Ramatra can only hold those hands up for so long. And now with the Wrecking Ball making it back, that's going to be 2 out of 3 points needed here on Flashpoint going to AFMT, and they really feel like they're getting back into this one.
This is the AFMT team that we kind of thought we were going to see in the first 2 maps. Smelvin now looking like they're a little bit lost here. Multiple swaps coming out. Dinks now going back over to Orisa here now.
Yeah, you go back to the Orisa to counter the Ramatra. It really is just the name of the game currently. And AFMT, despite getting to this point late, they're going to have the amplification matrix to potentially find somebody on a cheeky pick here. That's why you're seeing Ricky walk around here with Hey, I'm Zero and just... Or they potentially even realize that Smelvin Industries was already holding the high ground, and they've realized that this is where they have to, you know, approach from without getting too much damage onto them.
Yeah, but Smelvin Industries right now building up to all 5 ultimates, so AFMT going to be able to use his amp matrix at the moment. Not necessarily going to be able to find a lot of value, but here comes the Flux and the Blizzard. Already 1 capped in of 0, but the Immortality Field keeping them alive here for the moment, but that Immortality Field will only last so long. And now Smelvin finally starting to get a little bit of a foothold in this map, in this fight. Though looks like they're going to finally be able to cap the point here first.
Yeah, Flashpoint, it's always so tricky, right? You're seeing a bit of a stagger come out here onto Ricky before that Baptiste finally falls. But it's super interesting, right? Because Smelvin, they now have to start worrying about points that they aren't even on yet while still making sure that they win this point. Because if you invest all your ultimates to win this point, then AFMT is just going to have a massive advantage heading into whatever our next point may be. And so it's all about this cycling, making sure that you have the resources or forcing the resources from AFMT to keep these fights even.
And right now, you see this engage onto the high ground right now. The Blizzard coming out from NRG, going to be able to capture Arda. Robbie uses the beat, but the Blizzard just a little bit too much right there. 2 members of Smelvin already taken out of this fight, and it looks like they're just going to surrender the point right now and try to back up the safety.
And AFMT only investing the Blizzard there is absolutely amazing for them. They're going to have every other ultimate in tow. Meanwhile, Smelvin Industries, they threw away their beat, their coalescence even. And so now, look, Smelvin Industries back up to their old tricks. Mori on the flank, finding more and more picks like this. I mean, this is not what you can have happen if you're AFMT. You have to be able to play as a cohesive unit.
And again, AFMT does have the close response to this point at the moment. Zero holding on to that data. I will be able to get back here and potentially use it, but now the overclock going to come out here. Jock going to be able to get that beat off just in time to keep themselves alive, but it's only going to prolong. No, they're actually going to be able to stay alive through all, but as the air matrix comes out there from Ricky, Dinks doing such a great job of just building that space. The Annihilation coming out now from Arda, trying to cancel out that Terror Surge there from Dinks. Zero popping that high noon. Is there anyone in their sights? No, there's not. But right now, they will still be able to find Adam. AFMT in the lead here. And it looks like they're going to be able to win this fight here as well. And with how close this percentage is getting to 100, this could be the final fight of the map.
Yes, it could, and it seems like it's all clean up, all AFMT. They have woken up. You know, Smelvin Industries, after a little bit of some swapping shenanigans that occurred between both of these squad, it is AFMT back on the Orisa, standing tall, deciding that this series will not be done just yet, and they're willing to keep it going.
They don't want to be knocked down to the lower brackets just yet here. And honestly, if there's any team that could reverse sweep this Smelvin Industries team, it is probably this AFMN team. We've talked about it. Perfect regular season, a long map win streak, and finally that wake up that we were looking for them. This entire series happened, and it came at no better point.
Yeah, and, you know, Smelvin Industries, they've got to be feeling a little bit off-put because they really just got, you know, beat at their own game. They sort of got swapped around on until they were the ones on the composition that wasn't necessarily meta, the one they weren't comfortable with, and they have to start to scratch their heads, be like, wait, how did we end up here? How did this happen? But, you know, it wasn't all doom and gloom. They had some fights definitely going in their favor here, and they're going to have map pick for the rest of the series depending on how far it goes, so they'll be able to choose where we are on the push map, and then if we need for map 5 of Escort, that as well. So Smelvin Industries, they definitely still have opportunities to get, you know, this victory under their belt, but it's got to be lurking in the back of their mind. We had 2 maps against this team before. We don't want to do this again.
And I mean, you bring up a good point right there with the 2 map types that are last, but we're going to focus on the next one right now of Push. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I look at Push as something a lot like Saravasa. I mean, it's something back and forth, and you're normally going to be playing your best kind of comps that you think you can run here. So I kind of put the favor back over into this AFMN team here. I feel like they now finally have woken up this Smelvin team. They looked a little lost, maybe got a little bit too in their heads a little bit. We're finally solving this team out here. Heading into our push map, they're going to have to figure something out here, because if it goes to a map 5, I think this AFMM team is going to be right there to take this series.
Yeah, it could be all about momentum and things of that nature, but, you know, we'll focus there when and if we get there. Esperanza is queued up at the moment as the pick coming through for Smelvin Industries here, and this should be a return to tradition, right? We shouldn't see as many fancy Ramatra swaps. The Sigma is going to be brutal here if AFMT really wants to run it. It's going to require insane precision and high ground control, so both of these squads should just be rolling out on the Orisa. The question comes down to, you know, what do you run with that Orisa, right? Do you bring out, you know, any sort of fancy swaps? Do you bring in any something like a May, a Sojourn. We've seen AFMT, they've been more leaning towards the Cassidy, where Smelvin Industries, Mori has been lights out on the Sojourn. It really is an interesting pick.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I feel like you're absolutely right. Smelvin Industries could come back out on that Orisa, but AFMT, I could really see coming out on that Ramatra here, just to start off. I mean, it worked out great for them last map. Yeah, completely different game modes. You're not playing for a point, you're playing for a bot that consistently moves here. But I feel like they finally figured something out. And like I said, that was the only map they won on Nepal, was when they were running that Ramatra. I think you stick with the Ramatra here until Smelvin can prove that they can really stop it. But Megalas, it looks like we have our first sub of the series coming in.
I was going to say, in case you're hearing boss music, there is a reason, and that is Akaza has stepped into the lobby for Hey I'm Zero. And, there's a reason we say boss music, right? Akaza is a name known across CGL for multitude of reasons. And this is just, another factor that could result in an AFMT reverse sweep here. Because, this is a player that can deadlift entire maps on that DPS role, constantly being a carry, a nuisance in everybody's side on that Tracer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw Akaza was on the team sheet. Nothing against Zero or NRG, but I was wondering when they were going to come in, and it seems like the time is now. And also, Megalas, we have a mirror match here.
Yeah, we're on to the Sojourn, no Cassidy in sight. I really like this from AFMT. Smelvin Industries, on the other hand, maybe not feeling it as much, but Mori has been absolutely amazing here. And, while I want to highlight the Sojourns, it is going to be this Tracer duel. Adam has a tall task ahead of him, which is trying to go toe-to-toe with Akaza, and that's going to have to be, the name of the game right now for Smelvin Industries to try to secure this series.
Absolutely. I mean, the Tracer duel is going to be really interesting, but one thing we really talked about heading into that last map was the fact that Smelvin Industries, that DPS line throughout the entirety of the first two maps, was always able to find those early opening picks. AFMT's DPS line stepped up there on that third map and found all those picks they were looking for here, but Dinks could be the first one to fall here, and if by no one else other than Mori Arda, going to be able to find Ricky here, Jot, going to be able to escape with their lives, only for a mere moment before who else but Mori takes their head off.
Yeah, I mean, this Sojourn, Mori really is determined to win this series, and you're seeing it pay in spades right now. Dinks, a little bit of odd positioning, I'm going to be honest, from the Orisa player, but again, we're seeing shades of those first maps where these cooldowns are being forced in odd ways, and Smelvin is reacting to it perfectly. Arda is getting in the face of Dinks and making sure that every forced cooldown is a mistake that is paid for with their life, so it's just going to be another fight here, probably in the neutral.
And again, Dinks very low there. The Suzu has to come out early from Ricky. Pulse Bomb, though, from Akaza will be able to shut down Mori on that high ground right there. And now they're looking for more. Jot going to be just booped away there for the moment. But Smelvin without their soldier, who's been able to do so much for their team, trying to back up. Suzu now invested by Seb to keep themselves alive. But Arda not going to be able to escape.
Yeah, and it's crucial that, the bot is being contested right now in the backline. Adam, being able to stand on that bot the entire time instead of just allowing free push while they lost the fight means that it's not just going to be a free checkpoint cap here from AFMT. They might be able to get themselves in the lead or pretty darn close to it. But yeah, both these sides are going to be coming into a heavy ult fight here. I'm expecting the dueling Kitsune rushes to start us out.
How about just Dinks Kitsune Rush, or Dinks Terror Surge come out? Now the Kitsune Rush comes out there from Seb, but without Robbie, how much investment is Smelvin really going to throw into this fight here other than just trying to stall it out for a little bit? And now they lose Adam as well. Arda looking like they're just going to try to sacrifice themselves for a moment, but it's only going to come back to bite them.
Ricky throwing out those kunais, claiming a few kills for himself. Exactly what you love to see. And I mean, beautiful investment, right? AFMT only throwing in the Terra Surge. Meanwhile, Smelvin Industries, a Pulse Bomb goes wide from Adam along with that Kitsune Rush, not finding its mark. And AFMT now have the lead regained, and they should even be able to get this checkpoint unlocked unless a contest wants to come through from Adam.
Adam's gonna contest it here for a moment, and now you see Arda come back out just to stop it. Kitsune Rush coming out though from Ricky, beat from Jot, as well as Smelvin pops off their own ultimates here, just trying to keep this fight in their favor here for the moment. NRG though, the overclock coming in more, they're gonna be able to shut that down. Arda finds one, but the pulse bomb will find two from Akaza. A huge play there for the Tracer to even everything out. Akaza with three, they're looking for more, but Dinks now starting to just pressure out the rest of Smelvin here. Sab gonna be taken out now. It's all down to Adam, but eventually Akaza will be winning that duel and getting those forward spawns.
Akaza said, fine, I'll do it myself. AFMT, you will not lose while I'm here. That pulse bomb, absolutely amazing, as well as just the follow-up damage. This Tracer has been wreaking havoc so far. You're seeing the influence and the impact. Heading into this next fight, though, Adam has a chance to step up big with their own pulse bomb, and it's potentially going to have to go on to Dinks here, who has another Terra Surge locked and loaded.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, look at what AFMT is doing here. We see this a lot from teams, especially on this map. They're perfectly fine just backing off the bot here once that other team starts pushing it.
Yeah, retake this fight with favorable high ground, right? And sort of just force Smelvin Industries to be uncomfortable, figure out exactly what they want to do, and it's going to be the answer of coming through this staircase.
This might be the worst thing you could do. Dinks has that Terror Surge ready to go, and I imagine if Arda was not there to kind of stop them, they would have just walked in and popped that Terror Surge right there. But another Adam and Akaza fight going on here. As Seb does invest that Kitsune Rush on the high ground, they're going to be able to help Adam find Akaza right there. Terror Surge, though, coming out from Dinks, not going to lead to anything at the moment, as Smelvin going to be able to reset the spawns here. And now, if you're AFMT, I mean, you're now kind of behind here a little bit.
Yeah, that fight did not go your way at all. So now you're having to do a hard reset here in Smelvin Industries. You know, they're more than happy to get this bot pushing. Adam, you know, again, just being able to poke out and take Akaza out of the fight is really all you need to do. You don't necessarily have to win those Tracer duels every single time. Now heading into another neutral fight here, AFMT, they're probably going to have this Kitsune Rush super fast that they could just throw out to secure themselves a huge advantage in this one.
The Tracer duel going on for the bot right now. Here comes that Kitsune Rush you talked about. Ricky going to use it here on that high ground. Force Smelvin off of it right there. Adam still holding on to their Pulse Bomb, but Arda going to find Akaza. There goes the Pulse Bomb on the Dinks. Not going to be able to find them just yet, but it does hurt them a lot. Suzu being invested a little bit early there, but a huge pick off there by NRG. NRG with two. Can they make it three as the Soldier starting to come alive here for AFMT, but now Smelvin re-engaging back into this fight here, just trying to find some opening, get those forward spawns, give them a little bit of something here. Joint with a nice boop as NRG finds the third. Seb will find one, but that's going to be the only thing Smelvin gets.
And this, it's just so incredibly close. Both these teams really an insane respect for each other, right? There's such limited investment into these fights because, you know, it's almost one and done sort of plays that are occurring, right? It is just these hero plays. And again, AFMT, they're not going to opt into some crazy bot progress. They realize they're at a tad bit of a disadvantage. Their Lucio's getting, you know, their players back in tow. So it is just going to be another fight here, potentially under the bridge.
And right now, each team about to come up to 4 ultimates. AFMT, though, going to have all their ultimates ready to go right now. But Dinks getting very low here. Going to eventually have to fall back, get healed up. Overclock coming out here from NRG. Going to be responded to with the beat. Terror Surge from Dinks now. But now the Overclock from NRG. They find 3. They get the 4th. Can they get the ace right now? They're getting... Oh, no. Dinks takes away. But a huge play here for AFMT.
And AFMT, to be fair, they had to invest heavy into that. That was every ultimate to their name besides Akaza's Pulse Bomb, which now just lies in wait here as AFMT. They're going to feel confident enough to peek out and get this bot, get a little bit more progress going in their favor here. And it seems like it might just be another fallback, or at least they're going to play this corner where Smelvin Industries, Mori's going to be looking to replicate NRG's success here, but just for Smelvin Industries' benefit this time.
Here comes the overclock from Mori, but everyone from AFMT just backing up, don't want to get their heads taken off, and now that ultimate comes and goes right there, but Akaza's Pulse Bomb, yeah, it lands on the mark. NRG finds Arda, Jot, and now the rest of the team just cleaning up. AFMT going to be able to build upon their lead here.
Yeah, this meterage is going to continue to increase. The push bot is just going to keep on going here. It should, in theory, get to at least 95 meters. I expect 100, and that's always sort of the breaking point on push, right, where it becomes really hard to get in favor. But Smelvin Industries actually back rather quick, and they still have this Terra Surge in tow from Arda to potentially create some space and turn this fight.
Pulse Bomb Stick thrown on to Dinks right there, but it's NRG who has really just started to step up so far this map, finding 2 right there. Akaza finds 2 as well. It's a team kill, and at this point, Smelvin cannot lose another fight from here on out.
Yeah, and it's just getting harder and harder. AFMT building back up towards 5 ultimate just because of how little they're having to invest. It's just raw damage that's coming out in these fights that's punishing Smelvin Industries. Arda still has this Terra Surge finally being invested here.
Finds 2 right there. That's exactly the opening that Smelvin was looking for. Arda with 3 right now. They needed to win every fight from here on out, but Dinks, Akaza keeping this fight alive. The Pulse Bomb's going to be able to find Arda. It's all even, but Mori, Adam cleaning up the rest of that one there. Smelvin, a minute on the clock and about 60 meters to go.
AFMT again investing 4 ultimates, but this time Smelvin Industries, they weather the storm, not in the prettiest way, but they get it done. And now you're seeing Adam just push this bot back to neutral, waiting for the rest of Smelvin Industries to get a good respawn here. And, you know, this has got to be Smelvin Industries' time to sort of step up, right? They have the Kitsune Rush, where there's nothing on the other side, and they're going to be able to mirror sound barriers as well when those come up.
Well, speaking of Kitsune Rush, it immediately comes out there from Seb. Both beats are up and ready to go, like you said here. Each team, though, still looking for the first pick, and AFMT here just gonna try to play back, but you cannot play back when Mori is able to take off heads like they've been able to so far. And now, I mean, you're looking for the engage here. NRG does notice Adam right there, but Robbie gotta be able to find them. It looks like Smelvin should be able to cap the forward spawns here, but they still have a long way to go.
Yeah, a long way to go, and it's going to be in overtime, right? A flaw cannot occur for Smelvin Industries. It has to be perfect from here on out. A pause occurring means that somebody is disconnecting. We're not quite sure who it is yet. We have like the nice little auto disconnect feature, so it is going to be important to see who it is, and it seems like Jot, unfortunately, was the victim of that one. So AFMT gonna have to wait for that reconnect to come through. But Smelvin Industries, you know, where we're leaving them off at, you know, they're about to come up towards another overclock. Adam's about to have a pulse bomb. Really, AFMT, they're miles away from every ultimate, but there's still probably 2 fights minimum that Smelvin is gonna have to win here to try to secure this final map.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 fights. Yeah, like you said, at the minimum here. And you did bring up a good thing with that ultimate economy right now. Smelvin Industries in a much better spot. But if you're AFMT here, I think maybe you try to force a very, very heavily ult contested fight. You throw 1 in, hoping to get 3 of their ultimates out, because I'm looking at them here. I mean, you're close to a pulse bomb, you're close to another overclock. You have a beat ready, and honestly, that's probably the one you want to be forced out here right now if you are AMFT. Yeah,
I mean, the dream world for AFMT right now is there's going to be a fight that occurs at around 60 meters right after the checkpoint, and you force Smelvin to dump everything, the pulse, the overclock, that sound barrier, right? And so you come into the next fight, you know, closer to your ultimates, as well as, you know, draining the bake of Smelvin, so that final fight truly is on even footing. It's just going to be this incredible sort of back and forth here. And AFMT, you know, they don't want to lose, right? Obviously, they're not ready to go to lower bracket just yet. But Smelvin Industries, despite the fact that they're the ones that have to claw back this meterage, it really feels like it's in their palm right now for the taking. They just have to do it.
And that's the hardest thing. I mean, it's right there. They just have to do it. Like that. That's exactly it right now. I mean, but this AFMT team has really stepped up here in these last 2 maps so far. And like I said, if we make it to a map 5, which is still something that might not happen because this Smelvin Industries team looking like they could do something here incredible. But if they make it to a map 5, I mean, that all the momentum has to be back on their side here. What does Smelvin need to do, even if they lose this map here, just to try to take away a little bit of that momentum?
I mean, it really... It's going to be difficult, right? Because if you lose this map when it feels so winnable, when it's literally, again, in the palm of your hand, even despite the fact that you're down meterage in overtime like this, you have the ults to win this one out. map 5 is going to be so crucial, right? You have to come into it with a fresh mentality. You have to know that you can go toe-to-toe with these guys because you've been doing it. Sure, Flashpoint didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to, but, here we are on Push, and while the meterage says a completely different story, it really has been toe for toe, tit for tat in some of these fights. And now that Jot's back here and reconnected, it really is going to come down to how, if they're even able to get 2 fights, because now they're having to wait to get their Lucio back.
And Jot lost all the progress they had to a beat, but Robbie, Mori, they fall here early. AFMT still has their opening right now, but Smelvin trying to do whatever they can, but they're losing members. Adam going to be able to find one, but now it's Adam against the world, and AFMT going to be able to quickly win this back and force a map 5 here.
That's ridiculous. Smelvin Industries, like, I was hyping them up so much. They truly had it. It was all theirs. They had the ultimates, but, the ultimates don't matter if you can't click Q. I mean, Dinks really stepped up in that final fight on the Orisa, showing up and taking the Lucio out of it means that, that sound barrier wasn't there, right? So you weren't able to build all those ultimates they were just so close to. Because at the end of the day, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and last I checked, this is Overwatch.
Absolutely, but right now, if you're Smelvin, I mean, this was a much better map than what Suravaso was, but AFMT was able to still come up on top when they needed to, and really, it was that lead that they got basically in about the first half of this map. Then they were just, playing it safe, backing up, letting Smelvin take it a little bit, pushing their barrier a little bit. I mean, really, once AFMT got those forward spawns, it seemed like they were kind of in cruise control.
Yeah, I mean, cruise control definitely is the words, because they really didn't have to do anything too fancy, right? It was all in their favor here. So now, as we are facing map 5, I mean, it's gonna be a banger, regardless of how it goes, right? Even if a team dominates another right now, the fact that this has gone to 5 after how it started, AFMT coming alive, Smelvin still putting up phenomenal performances here, it's just going to be crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. But both the teams are deserving of a break after these last 2 maps. So stick around for map 5. Will it be the reverse sweep, or will Smelvin Industries make an upset here? Make sure y'all stick around for that. You're not going to want to miss it.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's
All right, welcome back, everyone. Does the reverse sweep happen here for AFMT, or does Smelvin Industries deny it and give us our first upset here in the EU Console Open tier? I mean, Megalas, it has been a series. The first two maps, I mean, going into that halftime break, me and you were sitting there saying we kind of expect the scoreline, but the other way around, Smelvin really impressed us. But now AFMT is showing us why they're undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, it's really that matter of bend but don't break, right? Being able to take those blows on those first two maps, and you come into Servasa, you play beautifully, you start forcing your own compositions, force some fun swapperoos around, you get that map under your belt, then you head on to push Esperanza. I mean, you forced the mirror the entire time, right? And you showed that Dinks can step up in the Orisa duel, but now Rialto as our final map. Spoiler alert. It's going to be just such an interesting one here. I mean, the Orisa composition is its own beast on this map, as well as this map, you know, it really gets decided one of two ways. Either we're going to stop on point A, one team or another, or we're going all the way to third, right? There's really no in-between when it comes to this map.
Yeah, no, not at all. It, like you said, it feels like you either get stopped at the first one or you're going all the way. Like, even second point stops, in my opinion, are rare to see. But I mean, Megalas, we were talking about just what was the change and what was the change in the series after map 2. And I mean, we both agreed it was Ardo was finally starting to be punished for maybe being a little bit over aggressive on that Orisa, which we praise for almost playing it perfectly on those first two maps. But I think a big thing, and even, I mean, you kind of agreed with as well, was AFMT's DPS line started to step up in those last two maps.
Yeah, I mean, NRG, you know, especially if you think back to Esperanza, there was putting on performances that put what Mori was doing to shame, and that's, you know, hard to do. Mori's been lights out on the Sojourn so far in this series. Obviously, it also helps when you have Akaza, this star-studded tracer, coming into the lineup here. You know, again, no slander to Hey I'm Zero. They were performing their role exceptionally well. They got that win on Servasa with the rest of the squad, but just having a Tracer player of this caliber to put somebody like Adam in their place and stop Smelvin Industries from flanking all the time, forcing them to play a little bit more standard, it's clearly shown to be a bit stressful. And now Smelvin Industries here on the defense. Actually seems like both teams opting off of the Orisa over to the Diva for the time being, but the little bit of a difference here is AFMT on the offense is going to have the Brig Ana backline. It means this Ana, or the defense rather, I should say. The Brig Ana backline just being a little bit more survivable, as well as those nano boost targets are going to be, not in short supply for AFMT. Really, you can slap a nano onto anybody and find incredible value.
Absolutely, but I mean, you have to remember the one other time we saw Divas go up against each other in this series, it was Hollywood, where Smelvin put on a performance that I have never seen before, because it was just that good. An over 4-minute time bank right now, but second time we're seeing the Widowmaker come out here, and Mori immediately finds the value right there. That's what you want to see from your Widowmaker. Find that opening pick, give your team that slight little advantage right now, as they look like they're starting to get chased down by a Kaza here, but it looks like they're going to be able to stay safe.
Stay safe for the time being, and now you're seeing Robbie and Arda kind of went in, and now they're being punished for it with Robbie already down, this mech dropping low, but Ricky already out.
Arda will get taken out right there, and Smelvin gonna have to back up, even though they want to probably continue fighting this one here. It's just not smart without the Diva.
Yeah. I mean, you really do need your Diva, but Dinks' mech incredibly low, could be punished here, but unfortunately that defense matrix is all too stable. The healing plus the health back there keeps Dinks nice and healthy in this fight, but you got past the first corner, so now AFMT has to change approaches on their defense and where they're choosing to hold. So this could mean that the Ana break backline is just a little bit more susceptible to being jumped.
Well, speaking of Ana break backline, there's no Ana anymore, as Mori able to find that head right there. Akaza, though, does have this pulse bomb ready to go. If they could stick it on someone like Mori, it probably guarantees a kill, but the visors coming out for them here. Smelvin continues to push. Adam winning that Tracer duel right there, and the pulse bomb comes out from Akaza. Everything is going Smelvin Industries' way right now, and after those last two maps, this is a breath of fresh air for them.
Yeah, this is exactly what they need. Now you're seeing the bomb invest from Dinks to try to keep this point contested. They don't want to get off of point A. They're even throwing the rally into it, but unfortunately it seems like it's all in vain, as, yeah, it's just going to be more and more cleanup here. Even they're still staggering onto it. This Tracer blinking around. Akaza does not want to let it go, but finally it has to be let go, and AFMT in their spawn rooms, they're just swapping. Energy just types in the chat, get off of Widow, and I guess Mori decided to comply for one reason or another over to the Sojourn. So we're seeing a bit closer to a mirror here. It is just the tank differential that is occurring between the Diva and the Orisa.
Hey, it doesn't matter who's Mori's playing. They're able to land headshots right there. Jock gonna learn it right there. Apparently they're a burger. Okay, that took me completely out of it right there. But Smelvin, just look at them, just casually pushing up the cart here right now. Akaza, though, will find Robbie, but will Dinks be able to escape? The answer to that one quickly comes there with no. And now the Consuming Rush coming out here from Smelvin. They want to win this second point, and they want to win it fast.
Yeah, I mean, this is how they played Hollywood, right? They played it fast, they got in your face, they did exactly what they needed to, but NRG
keeping their team alive in this fight right here, but Arda and Adam right here just pressuring them out. Eventually they will fall. I believe Ricky was around to help, but they just have to fall back to save themselves, but looks like the rest of AFMT is going to be able to come back here and stall at the cart.
Yeah, so now there's a bit of a stagger fight between both teams lacking members, and it's going to be interesting to see how much either team wants to invest.
Bomb coming out here, not going to be able to find anyone, but there will be no remech there as Dinks finds Arda, and Smelvin going to have to respect it and fall back.
Yeah, and so now, finally, without that Diva, finally Smelvin is forced to officially stop on this offense for at least a moment. They're going over to the Orisa now, freaking making this the entire mirror that we're expecting, right? AFMT, they're going to have the Kitsune Rush, whereas Seb invested that one early and didn't find any value from it. But NRG already taking Adam out of this one means Smelvin Industries might have to wait just a little bit longer.
But they're in a really bad spot to just say, we have to sit here and wait a moment. As you immediately see Dinks come in, the beat coming out there from Robbie, not going to be able to keep them safe for a while. Pulse Bomb Stick will come on to Arda, but now you're starting to see Smelvin pick up the kills here. Dinks will find Arda right there, but Smelvin, they're pushing the cart.
Yeah, Smelvin's on cart, and you're seeing AFMT, they're going to have to make their way back to it. They should be able to get here before anything is capped necessarily, but it is going to be a very interesting sort of situation where Adam could be stuck in the backline here and might just have to ultimately die, finally, yeah. Tracer must fall over for this map to continue, and Smelvin Industries again regrouping in their own spawn. And it's just another interesting fight, right? AFMT finally being the aggressors, Dinks forcing that fight in the stairway, getting the pressure, and while the picks were initially in AFMT's favor, they came up exactly when they needed to, which is what seems to be the clutch factor right now that AFMT is riding on.
95 seconds left to go here for Smelvin to cap point 2 right now. I mean, they're coming up on 2 ultimates. Same, though, could be said here for AFMT, but it's again, Mori finding Akaza. Both support elements coming out here for AFMT just to keep their team alive in this fight. It's going to force Smelvin Industries to fall back here for a moment, but they're going to have ultimates of their own to quickly re-engage back in here. I'm watching for Seb here to immediately pop that Kitsune rush. That's exactly what happens. Pulse Bomb comes out, but it's going to be canceled out by the Suzu, and now you just see that aggressive nature come out here from Smelvin with that Kitsune rush. They find one, but they lose Mori for their troubles. Akaza doing all the work they can possibly do. They see the Suzu come out. They're focusing in there on Seb, but Seb's gonna swift step away to keep themselves alive here. Smelvin, though, still winning the fight at the moment. Dinks, though, looking a little bit worse for wear, but Adam being taken out. Seb loses as well. Somehow, through all this, AFMT gonna be able just to hold the cart.
Yeah, I mean, those ultimates invested from AFMT meant that pick onto Akaza was worth nothing because the Tracer was able to get back to the fight before it really had a chance to start. Smelvin Industries, sure, they threw the Kitsune rush into it, but they didn't invest a whole heck of a lot else simply because they didn't have anything else to their name. So now it is going to be a pretty heavy ult fight for both squads heading into what should be the final fight here. I mean, I'd probably be looking towards Robbie Hash, making sure this sound barrier gets off and some value is provided with it.
Smelvin trying to do the C9 right there. The beat coming out there from Robbie Hash only hits onto them, and Adam now territory coming out from Arctic. Kills being traded out each way, but hey, if you're Smelvin, you need to be thinking about someone touching the point at the moment, but you're losing members, and I don't think there's going to be a point touch here. Adam will force an overtime as Seb finds one pick. The pulse bomb from Adam going to be stick on the Dinks, but hey, Megalas, we talked about this. No one gets stopped at point 2. AFMT able to do that.
Yeah, and that does not bode well for Smelvin Industries, who, they started the series 2-0 up, right? They had it in their hands for a massive upset, but it seems like it's starting to slip away from them more and more as time goes on. AFMT, they're really finding their footing. Dinks has come alive on this Orisa. You're not seeing the cooldowns forced as heavily. There's more being reactive, more playing properly, and just more and more of that DPS line, NRG and Akaza stepping up massively here. But Smelvin Industries, you know what you have to hold. You want this upset win more than anything, I'm sure. And who knows, maybe your D.Va defense with the Widowmaker in tow. Mori was getting some clean picks off to start. It is just going to be a matter of continuing that lifestyle. It's very difficult. It's very high risk, high reward, but that reward could be a massive series win.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it right there. High risk, high reward. If you're Mori, you probably only have about 1 life on this Widowmaker, and before you're basically forced to swap off, whether it be to the Casty or whether it be to the Soldierin, it's going to probably be the Soldierin, if anything. And Arda, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how AFMT deals with Arda on the D.Va, because I have the feeling Smelvin is thinking Dinks is going to come out on the D.Va as well.
Yeah, and I mean, this just means sort of making sure your defense matrix is utilized properly, right? And that's going to be a lot of peel potentially coming over to Mori or potentially even Seb, just to keep these people alive and in the fight here. Adam doing a little bit of a lurk, getting some nice damage in before having to blink out, though.
Yeah, got to be able to keep themselves up there. Seb very low. Adam blinking to get help, but I mean, Smelvin allowing AFMT just to have all this space here pretty early, but Arda finds NRG out. That's a great opening pick there, but you lose your Widowmaker in the back line.
Yeah, so now you're 4v4 here, and it's just going to be more and more pressure here, but Dinks should be punished for this over-aggression right now.
Akaza, I think, was chasing after Robbie Hash, not knowing they were right above their head as they rounded that corner back out here to the main fight. Arda, though, will find Jot right there. And how much longer does AFMT stay in this fight without that Lucio? At this point, it looks like they're engaging into it, especially with Akaza just having all this free space in the back line.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not really free space anymore. You're seeing the pressure come down onto this Tracer. They recognize that Akaza is a threat. Meanwhile, Mori's still on this Widowmaker looking for even the slightest angle. All you need is one head, and this fight can turn in your favor massively.
And absolutely, it's such a hit or miss kind of pick right there. You see him getting pressured out by the Tracer a little bit. Jot looking worse for wear. Arda, though, gonna lose their mech, gonna have to use the bomb to remech it. But Adam finds one with their own bomb. NRG taken out of the fight here. Dinks getting very low right now. Mori, though, taken out. Huge opening pick right there for AFMT, but Adam shuts down Dinks. And now, if you're AFMT, you might just try to get out of this one with your lives.
Yeah, Adam coming alive, showing that anything you could do, I could do better on this Tracer right now. Exactly what needs to happen, and 2 minutes so far of AFMT's offense has been burnt out. Halfway done is the job for Smelvin Industries, but, you know, halfway is still a long ways away. There's plenty of ultimates here for AFMT to work with, including their own Kitsune Rush, as well as Akaza. And holding on to this Pulse Bomb, and it'll probably go onto just the right target at just the right time.
And Mori sticking on this Widowmaker is, again, such a big pick, and that's exactly why they find Akaza. No Pulse Bomb going to be invested this fight. NRG going to be able to find Robbie, but Adam finds them right back. Kitsune Rush, though, coming out from Ricky. It's getting desperate now for this AFMT squad. They're trying to do whatever they can to keep them in this odd-numbered fight right now. Mori just trying to take pop shots at Dinks. Going to be able to get another one there, but it's going to be Adam find them. Now Visors coming out here from Mori. They're going to be watching that cart like a hawk right now, but Arter finds Jot. And again, how much longer is AFMT going to stay engaged into this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult, but you should be able to get your Lucio back around the same time that Adam is back in the fight, so it's going to be another 5v5 neutral fight. Sure, you lost your Kitsune Rush, and you're down in the ult bank right now, so this fight has to be invested in purely getting Smelvin Industries to burn what they have, because if you're going into final fight at this massive ult disadvantage you're at now, it's going to be disastrous for AFMT.
Kitsune coming out here from Seb to get everything going. AFMT just gonna let it come and go right there, not necessarily invest anything into it right now, but Adam just trying to follow Akaza right now, help out their Widowmaker teammate at the moment, who's looking a little bit worse for wear at the moment. But now you see AFMT starting to push the cart a little bit here, less than 30 seconds. This Tracer duel is gonna be so huge, and it's Adam coming out on top there. That's exactly what you wanted. And now Jot just a little bit far away. The beat coming out to keep them alive as they lose their tank. It's going to be a complete fallback here for AFMT as they have to try and hope that they get one more touch.
And that pick onto Robbie Hash is massive here, but it is going to be the question of who's going to stand tall to touch. Can Dinks or Akaza make it is going to be the question, and the blinks are there.
Akaza gets the touch. Dinks playing it safe, waiting for it. Gonna be able to spike down to the ground at the last moment there. You're starting to see AFMT come back, but it's Mori with one headshot. They're looking for the upset right now. The beat coming out. The overclock from NRG just trying to do anything right now. Overclock wick still kind of burning high right now as AFMT does have members around the card. Arter finds Akaza. Now they're only down to 3. Dinks trying to do whatever they can, but it's Mori in that backline finding NRG. Mori with 2. And now Smelvin Industries, they can finally say they've beaten AFMT this season and have upset them to move on to the semifinals.
They weren't gonna let another map 5 against this God Squad slip through their hands. Smelvin Industries, they came to play today, and it's just such a refreshing sight from them, just how coordinated they were, doing everything together just on another level as an entire team. I mean, special shout out, of course, to Mori on that hit scan, the Sojourn, the Widowmaker there at the end being the hero. I mean, that's the sort of level that you need from your hit scan player in order to succeed in tournaments like these. You have the space, but it's another thing entirely to actually make use of it, and you're seeing here just how much Mori can do.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone who played in this series played incredible. You don't get map 5s like this very often, and it was an incredibly close series. Smelvin Industries took the first 2 in very close fashion. AFMT then came back in maps 3 and 4 and started to put Smelvin on notice a little bit, saying that they weren't completely out of this one here. Akaza coming in my opinion, was the right move for AFMT there. Yeah, Hey I'm Zero did great, but Akaza did just as great, maybe even better than them here. But Smelvin Industries, they just needed one map to go their way, and Rialto was that map. We saw it on Hollywood when it went to this Diva versus Diva kind of matchup that Smelvin Industries had for that first point. It opened up so much for them, and that's really what won it for them, was that Diva versus Diva at the start of Rialto.
Yeah, and the Diva versus Diva. You know, I will say we were kind of right. Somebody did get stopped on point A. I'll put the asterisk on there. It just so happens that there was also a point P stop at the end of it. But just what an amazing series. If you're Smelvin Industries, you've got to be feeling high heading into the semifinals. Meanwhile, AFMT, I'm going to be, you know, I don't want to discourage any teams, but if you're in the lower bracket right now, there's an angry AFMT, and I am terrified for you.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. I mean, this AFMT team was probably expected just to be in the grand finals through the upper bracket. Now they're in that lower bracket and teams are going up against them with their final chances. It's going to be really tough because we talked about it so much. This AFMT team, undefeated in the regular season, only dropped 2 maps to the Smelvin Industries team in the first week of the season, won the mid-season tournament by winning 9 straight maps, never dropping a map there as well. And now, for the first time since week 1, they lose a map, and the first time this entire season, they lose a series. But Megalas, there's a chance that we might have just seen what could be that grand finals match very early on in playoffs.
Yeah, I would not be surprised in the slightest for AFMT to make that lower bracket run. And Smelvin Industries, I mean, you just beat the top dog. You're now standing tall, but, you know, your job's not done either, so make sure that you're focusing up. You're just in the semis. You still got some work to do to get to that grand final, but, I mean, both these teams really, again, they just put on such an amazing show today, and I hope that we get to see another matchup from these squads, because I promise they both won it again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, hey, we're still forgetting about some other teams. There's another quarterfinal game to happen up here in the upper bracket. It's MME Overwatch versus Oblivion, who both those two teams, very, very impressive teams in their own right. So the fact that we just kind of agree that we might have saw a grand finals match this early on might get them a little bit angry when they have to go up against, whoever wins that one has to go up against Smelvin Industries in the semifinals.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. There's so many, you know, squads running around, and, you know, the only guarantee was that AFMT, they were on this massive winning streak, right? Now, everybody's fair game. You know, there's massive upset potential across the board. There's, you know, that's the whole point of a playoffs, right? There's a reason we give these double elim brackets. We don't just want to see the top team from the regular season run it all the way through. We just hand them the trophy after regular season then. We're giving everybody a chance to play it out, and sometimes under high pressure situations like these playoffs is where you'll find those diamonds get created.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even though we had heard about everyone on this Smelvin Industries team, I think there were some diamonds that really showed up through the rough today for them. Mori and Arda were just great. But before we sign off, I just want to give a quick thank you to everyone behind the scenes who helped put this on. Hippie, Beam, Orange, no, not Orange, Mr. Mountain Mike, and I am
Lottie.
And Lottie, thank you so much for that, Hippie. I would have felt bad if I forgot about her, but they did such a great job throughout this incredible series, getting all the shots that you guys saw. Megalas, I want to thank you for being my co-caster. And actually, why don't you sign us off for this one?
I mean, of course, I'm more than happy to. I mean, shout out to everybody in the CGL Twitch chat watching these games. You're the reason we get to put them on. You're the reason these playoffs are always so hype. But yeah, I mean, that's just going to do it us for here now, and make sure you tune in next time. I think we have a game later tonight on the NA side of things, so if you want to tune in for that one, but I'm sure there will be plenty of playoff action throughout the rest of the week, throughout the rest of probably the next several weeks, so make sure that you stick around, make sure you hit that follow button, all that fun stuff. But until next time, this is us signing out.